Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So remember how in my previous video when we were talking about Highway's new feature, I mentioned, I think at the end, that I would not be surprised if financial institutions started being more careful about who they give out commercial loans to. And the reason I said that is because I even showed a photo where a mortgage was denied to an applicant simply because they had an asylum status. Well, while this is not exactly what is happening right now and not exactly what we're going to be talking about today, it is very much related because the federal government just announced that it will be going after financial channels that are used by undocumented immigrants. So let's chat about it and most importantly, explore how this relates to trucking and what it means for the trucking industry. Ready? Let's go. So jumping right in, according to FreightWaves, this move by the federal government goes beyond traditional border security measures. This action focuses on financial institutions and money transmitters that facilitate the transfer of funds from undocumented workers to their home countries, effectively targeting the economic lifelines of the U.S. shadow economy. So what does that all mean and how do we make sense of it? Well, first of all, we're talking about Fincen, and Fincen stands for Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. Now, Fincen happens to have extensive control over financial institutions and banking systems, and as Craig Fuller said, financial institutions definitely do not want to end up on the wrong side of Fincen. Now, as the article states, they have the ability to do several things. Number one, compel any financial institution to hand over records without a warrant via national security letters. Number two, unilaterally freeze assets. Number three, impose civil penalties of $250,000 per transaction. Number four, criminally prosecute executives for willful blindness. This is the alert they issued last week, and the important parts are highlighted in red. It reads, money services businesses are generally required to file a suspicious activity report for a transaction that involves at least $2,000 and that the MSBs know, suspect, or have reason to suspect is relevant to a possible violation of law or regulation. This includes the cross-border transfer of funds derived from unlawful employment or otherwise derived from funds that MSB knows, suspects, or has reason to suspect were illicitly obtained in the United States. Now, according to FreightWaves, and yes, I'm basing a lot of this video on FreightWaves because I do enjoy reading the articles there, but according to FreightWaves in this article, this alert directly impacts unlawful immigrants who support those families abroad. And this is what the article states. Of the estimated 11 to 14 million undocumented immigrants in the US, roughly 60 to 70% regularly send remittances totaling approximately $160 billion annually, an amount exceeding the GDP of many countries. Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador alone receive over $100 billion combined. So why is this making the headlines? Well, the simple answer is money. If Fincen is planning to hold these financial institutions and banks accountable for how money is transferred and who it is transferred by overseas, these banks and financial institutions are going to put up roadblocks in order to prevent that money from being sent overseas. And if that financial incentive is taken away from people, they might not be as likely to see the US as a place to earn money and then send it back home. So what's the point of staying and working here? This is the thought process. All right, now that we went through what this alert is, what it means in a big scope, let's talk about trucking specifically. What does it mean for the trucking industry? Well, let's go back, like I usually like to do. Let's go back to the ATA's driver shortage myth that never existed, does not exist. paired with the fact that there is almost no barrier to entry into the trucking industry. Now, let's take a look at COVID, when social media was kind of bustling with this idea of, oh, if you want to make money, you have to come into the trucking industry. The ATA was pushing this driver shortage myth. The barrier to entry into the trucking industry was very low. A lot of people came to the United States and they specifically focused on getting into the trucking industry, hoping that they're going to make money. But Craig Fuller offered an additional perspective, one that I haven't even thought of. Considering how sleeper trucks are, the truck not only offers a way to make money, but it's also kind of a moving home for those that lack residence. Now, even though lately it seems like every rule, every initiative, every regulation has been kind of targeting capacity in the trucking industry, it has been argued that this move by Fincen could have an even more profound effect on capacity, simply because it takes away potentially the ability for these folks who you come here and then earn the money and send it back home. It takes away that financial incentive. And this is one of the biggest reasons these folks keep working in the trucking industry. In short, this is yet another move that could potentially reduce capacity in a different way. So yeah, guys, that's the news. I would be very curious to hear what your thoughts on this are. What do you think it will do to the trucking industry, and whether you think this is going to actually be enforced? Anyway, wishing you all a fantastic rest of your Tuesday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. See you in the next video.